fingers are killing me. I tell you what, man. I was on vacation for a week and a half, and this is the first time I played acoustic guitar, really. So
it's always a workout.
Breaks are great, but make sure to practice every day, kids.
Welcome here, everyone. Welcome to this very special live broadcast event. We don't really stream on YouTube that often these days, so this is very special. I'm really excited to have you guys all here. This is Nate Savage, Andrew Clark, if you don't recognize us. And we actually have live chat going and everything today.
That's great.
So as we're going through this stuff today that we're going to talk about, which today is the 5 big progress blockers on the guitar, you guys can be firing away in chat. I'll try and keep up. Usually it's pretty tough because we're trying to talk to each other at the same time. But I will be trying to respond to your questions, and I'll also try, maybe at the end we'll probably have some time for Q&A, something like that.
Stuff,
yeah, as long as it's guitar related, I'll try and grab those questions and we'll answer some of them. But yeah, welcome here, everyone. We just launched Guitar Technique Made Easy a few weeks ago, which Guitar Technique Made Easy has been a course that this is probably the 4th or 5th time kind of going at it.
I lost count. I think it's the 4th maybe, I don't know.
We launched it initially back in 2018, back in January of 2018, and it was insane. It's probably the coolest thing we've ever done because it was just so wildly different from anything that we've done before, as far as what online lessons can do compared to what like private lessons and stuff are. We kind of have tried to bridge that gap with Guitar Technique Made Easy, and it's going on right now. It's ending really soon, so we thought we'd do a cool live stream where we talk about some of the stuff that gets covered in the course.
Yep.
So without further ado, we will jump into progress blocker number 1.
Progress block, well, I came up with 5 of them because I thought it was better than 3, but 6 is a bit much. But number 1 is probably like where it all starts for a lot of people. And I know this is where it starts for me because if I don't do this, or if I get caught up in this progress blocker, then I don't notice the progress that I want in my playing. And that is not defining what you want to do or accomplish on the guitar right from the very start. When you define exactly, specifically what it is that you want to accomplish on the guitar, that's going to cut a lot of the extraneous things out, like literally millions of practice points that you could be practicing on the guitar in one given practice session, and whittles it down to like, hey, okay, this is exactly what I want to do. So I don't need to worry about all this other stuff, at least not right now, because these goals or this area of focus is my focal point. And for me, 2 good examples of this would be like fingerstyle guitar, or like improvising along to like fusion-y chord changes, right? Like rock fusion-y chord changes. But let's just take fingerstyle for an example. It could be whatever you want out there. If it needs to be more specific for you, that's fine. Like if it's just I need to memorize my open chords, or if I need to memorize and learn how to use a blues scale, that could be like one definition or one defining thing that you want to work on and get better as a guitarist. And when you do that, all the other crap gets cut away. And so if I want to be a fingerstyle guitarist, then I need to work on certain very specific things.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the number 1 thing. You need to sit down and really think about what it is that you want to accomplish on the guitar. It doesn't matter what it is, but be as specific as possible and write it down. And you can even make like a running list, but you are going to need, and we'll get to this more later, like on number 5.
Okay.
Like getting more specific with this. But if you don't know what it is that you want to accomplish on the guitar, you're going to be bouncing all around like a pinball. Like, I'm doing fingerstyle this week. I'm doing jazz this week. I'm doing shred this next week. And you're not going to get good at any one of those things. It's going to add years and years and decades to get to where you want to be for something on the guitar. So write down, if you can right now, on your phone, in your head, on a piece of paper, write down 2 very specific things that you want to get good at on guitar.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I will just quickly say, it's okay if those things change in the future.
Yeah, they are going to change.
They will. So. I started off wanting to play metal, and I don't play any metal now. I'm sure your goals have changed as well. So just writing them down, though, is such a huge step. That's awesome.
Cool. Number 2, and this is, if you've ever, no matter what you're learning, people always compare it to like, okay, you have to have a solid foundation or it's not going to be anything, right? But if on guitar, if you don't have a solid foundation in certain techniques, and certain technique on the guitar, then you are literally going to have this fragmented, like concrete pebbles foundation. And anything you build on, it's going to be like, well, crap, I have to go tear this structure I built down and go fix this because I just exposed that hole or that kind of crappy foundation that you built. And a really good example of this is just playing clean chords and getting chord changes down smoothly. That's something that every guitar player needs to do no matter what kind of music that they want to do. And it's a really good example of like, if you don't get your chords down to where you can, like if you can't play a C chord really well on its own, and you can't get the technique and strength and stamina to do that, then you're gonna have a really hard time with bar chords. It's just the way it's gonna be. Or like if you don't get individual chord shapes down on their own, like your open chords, then there's no way you're gonna be able to switch between chords smoothly, which is like the biggest progress killer for newer guitar players in general, because it's a big tripping point or tipping point where they either quit or they get it because they have a solid foundation and some basic techniques, and they can move on to other things that they want, like the things we defined in number one, like I want to be a fingerstyle player, I want to be a blues player, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So getting some fundamental technique down, is whether it's in lead or rhythm guitar, is super important. But like the really fundamental stuff, it doesn't matter what kind of music you're into. You're going to be using it, whether it's picking stuff, whether with your fingers or with a pick, and then fretting stuff.
Yeah.
And I can give some tips on if you're just getting started on guitar. Playing chords and changing between chords really smoothly is the probably hardest thing. That's the number one thing that people struggle with. So, the number one thing for getting that foundation down, and this will you can use this as a template for other challenges when you get it too, is getting the individual chord shapes down to where you can go to them on their own first. That's the biggest thing. That's the secret to making clean chords and changing between chords smoothly. If you can't do that, then you're hooped. You're going to have a really hard time progressing. But some things that will help you get that down are to elevate the guitar a little bit. That's really simple. Get your elbow not out here, but down here to get a good angle of attack on the strings. Then fingers right behind the frets instead of like in the middle or toward the back. It can cause some buzzing, right? And for open chords, particularly, you don't want to have your thumb over here necessarily all the time. Like sometimes I will mute that low E string, but my thumb isn't over here, because watch what happens when my thumb comes way over, my fingers flatten out a little bit. And that can make it tough when you're first starting on guitar. When you get a little more advanced, yeah, you can make a C chord like that, it's no problem. But having just a good general posture like that, like you're holding the ball, that's something that can make your chord changes really easy. And then once you absorb all these tips for your playing chords, the big thing about it is to just be consistent with your practice. Day in and day out, 6-7 days a week if you can, 15 to 30 minutes a day. Put that C chord on, or whatever chord it is you're working on. Make sure it's perfectly clean. Take it off, shake it out. If it sounds like that, go through the tips of my fingers right behind the frets. It's my elbow in a little bit. I come right down the tips of my fingers. And the more stickler you are about this stuff, the more you'll develop your technique and your coordination. And you'll be like, oh, I can be super sloppy with the C chord now.
Yeah.
Like my fingers aren't coming down the very tips of their fingers. If I was, it'd be, look like a Mel Bay book. Yeah. But starting like that and getting a foundation to where you know how to make chords is super important. And then if you have that down, that foundation is going to be laid, and then you can start to build like the first wall on it, which is changing between chords.
And almost all the tips you learn from that C chord, when you're playing some crazy C, add 9, diminished, augmented,
like
blah, blah, blah.
C6.
Sure.
That's
those
nasty.
tips all of a sudden still apply.
Yep.
Right? You learn that early on. They're so foundational.
Number 3 is not nailing down specific techniques that are relevant to what you want to accomplish on the guitar. So this again goes back to number 1 of what is it that you want to accomplish on the guitar. So let's say your goal is, I want to be a lead guitar player, I want to rock lead guitar player, but you never spend really any time nailing down hammer-ons and pull-offs or legato, or you start to do it, be like, this is hard, I'll just go do other things, right? That's going to really hamstring you. It's just an example, and you can apply this to whatever your goal is, whatever you want to accomplish on the guitar, but really taking some time and getting legato down for a few weeks or a few months. That doesn't have to be all you practice, but putting a concerted effort in there with a technique that's relevant, or the techniques that are relevant to what you want to accomplish on guitar, can really help you. So being really aware of, is this good, or are my hammer-ons not as loud as the pick note? Are my pull-offs weak? Are they buzzy like that one was? But taking some time and putting that in, no matter what, I don't really play like that on acoustic for a gig. Yeah. I do when me and I are jamming, but the fact that I can do that on acoustic means I can 100% do it on electric.
Yes.
So really focusing in on the techniques that are relevant to what you want to do, what you've defined that it is that you want to accomplish on the guitar. For example, if I hadn't, on that little jam we did at the beginning, if I hadn't put the effort in to do all the fingerstyle stuff I've done, there's no way I could do it. Right. So that's one thing that was very important for me. It was more important to me a decade or two ago.
Right.
But like that functionality is still there, and I can brush it off really quickly because I went through that time. So really knowing, researching, finding out what techniques are relevant to your little goals or what you want to accomplish on the guitar, and really putting the time in and getting those down right is super important.
Nice.
And I lost my page. Let me come back over here.
Get back to number 4. Let me just address some things in chat really fast, since this is a nice little moment. Lots of people in here. That's awesome, guys. A quick little note about progress blockers. This is from Neferil. Can you talk about tone chasing being a progress blocker? Instead of getting a good enough sound, you can't feel like you can't progress until you get the sound.
I would be preaching to myself big time on that one.
It's true.
One thing that has helped me lately is to just limit myself on what I have available to me. So I don't think you can see, it's over there. My PV Classic 30 amp, I can do everything I need to do with that amp unless I'm doing like straight metal. I can do everything I need with that amp. Limiting myself to just having that, maybe a delay pedal and an overdrive pedal, has helped me a lot. And I actually downsized from a regular Line 6 Helix to one of the HX Stomps.
Yep.
And you can only do 6 blocks of tone on there. It's still mountains of options, but you don't have nearly the amount of options that you do with like a regular Line 6 Helix. Sometimes just setting, even I heard Marty Friedman say this recently. He's like, intentionally practice with a crappy tone sometimes.
Ah, interesting.
That way, it doesn't matter. Like if you don't like it, who cares? I mean, yeah, of course we care, but if you can play well with a crappy tone that you don't like, if you go into dial in a tone that you do like, it's gonna be that much better.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is just getting to know your gear that you have and what it can do, and just playing with it and sticking with it a lot and finding out what you like with that will help a lot. Like I literally, for myself, I could practice, there's a pod right over there. I could practice with that thing all the time.
Right. Yeah.
I find it's a little too forgiving though.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, cool. Well, let's continue on.
Okay. Number 4 is practicing without a musical end, and this is the reason, or at least one of the reasons why you, maybe you, I know for sure I've been in this situation, but for sure why you see other people and you say to them or somebody else says to them, play a song, and they're like, I can play G, C, and D. But, all the chords and scales and strumming patterns are great. All the strumming patterns, chords, and scales in the world are great. But if you can't play a song, then what good is it? So always having a musical end to what you're doing, whether that's learning how to play over a certain chord change, like improvise over a certain chord change, learning a specific cover song, writing your own music, jamming with friends, whatever it is, you need to have some kind of musical end or musical goal for your practice time. That way, it gives you something to shoot for, and it knows let you know when you've reached it, and it's something to help keep you motivated too, so you're not just learning these things for the sake of learning them.
Yeah.
And for me, lately, that's been working on like original music, and it's like the stuff I've been writing is very complicated. So I'm like, if I don't play for a month, I'm like, I completely forgot how to play that. Yeah. But I have like the evidence, I have the recordings that are like, this is awesome, this is great, and I can go back and relearn it if I need to. But doing cover stuff is great, and always having like a list of 2 or 3 songs that you're actively working on. You can have a master list of hundreds of songs that you want to learn, but always having a musical end is really good. And one thing I've been really liking too is just taking a looper and putting in a 12-bar blues.
Cool.
Because you can use that all the time. And the better you get at playing over 12-bar blues, the better you're going to get. The better your ear's going to get, and the better you're going to get at playing over chord changes.
Totally.
No matter what style of music you're playing to. So that's a big one. That's one that a lot of people who are frustrated with their playing and feel like they don't know where to go or what to do next, or they're bored. That is almost always, I email people and I'm like, do you have a list of songs picked out? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, there you go. That's it. And I'm just as guilty of it. A lot of times it's taken care of for me though, because of this job. My wife's a musician, so I play for her a lot. I play a lot of church gigs. and I come up with my own stuff. So I'm lucky that a lot of it's taken care of me automatically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Nice. Are we on to number 5 already?
I think so. Let's see. Okay, I almost want to read this one from what I wrote, but I'll talk about it and then I'll make sure the points that I have listed here. I gave a lot of thought to this one. And number 5 is the reason a lot of people get frustrated and quit guitar, other than the obvious things like they have trouble playing chords or they have trouble strumming. And that is not having a plan for your practice time, for what to do. And I'm just going to read this. If you define what it is you want to do, then you need a plan of execution to make that vision a reality. Doing simple things like setting a practice schedule, like actually setting a practice schedule on a calendar or setting up reminders on your phone. Committing to a certain amount of practice per week. Like, I'm going to practice 30 minutes a day, 6 days a week. Like, committing to that and actually doing it. Being consistent with that and not cheating, if you can. Life gets in the way sometimes. Breaking your bigger goals, like the goals we talked about in number 1, down into smaller practice points. That's part of the plan that will help you, when you sit down to practice, be like, I want to play blues, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what to practice.
Yeah.
Breaking those bigger goals down into smaller plans, executable plans for your practice is a big thing. All of those things, and putting deadlines on the things that you've set goals for are all working together to form this plan, this really dynamic plan that will help you see success on the guitar if you stick to it. And it is a lot of work, but if you do that, like you go through and make a plan, detailed plan of how much you're going to practice, when you're going to practice, breaking down those goals into smaller bite-sized pieces of practice points and then putting a deadline on it, you're going to make a lot more progress than you would if you're just like, I want to be a great blues player. I guess I'll sit down and noodle on a blues scale for 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
But if you have a plan and you stick to it, you're going to get a lot more done and you won't be frustrated when you sit down to practice and you're like, what do I do? What do I practice?
Yeah. Such a common question. What do I do? What do I practice?
Yeah. And it's legit. I mean, you have to know what to do. And without, you have this elephant in your room and you have to eat it. But like people just look at the elephant and it's so big, they're like, I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, should we jump into a couple of questions?
Sure.
There's a little bit of a delay on the stream, so basically you have time to get in questions now, and if they get in after we're done with questions, then unfortunately we won't be able to get to them. So fire those in chat. I already see a few in here, so I'm going to grab those. Let's see. First one here, this is not necessarily a question, but a comment, and I think it's a good comment from Nefero as well, which is, I do agree that creating a clean sound is paramount to progress. You can still play sloppy to add some charisma, like Nirvana did, but the most important part is getting your desired notes pronounced. Yeah, it's best to get to that point where it's perfect, and then you can add the style and flavor afterwards, right? I'm sure Kurt Cobain could probably play some really good clean stuff too.
Like I like playing electric unplugged, sure.
Yeah.
But like if I'm playing with any kind of gain on it, I like practicing with it plugged in with that sound because I like to be able to control it.
Sure.
Like to make sure none of my strings are ringing out, or to make sure I'm getting the tone that I want.
Yeah. Okay, another one here. This one is from Diana. How do you know what to practice to get where you want? Like if I wanted to do some soloing stuff, how do I know what I should practice?
Okay, so you have your goal. You want to, let's say, rock soloing.
Yeah.
You want to do that. How do I know what to practice? Okay, that's the elephant. The elephant is rock soloing.
Yeah.
Chopping it up into little steaks that you can sit down and have a meal with every time you're in a practice session comes down to a few things, and I would say it's technique, like the physicality of playing the guitar. Like scale shapes is another one. Scale shapes or chord shapes is another one. Musicality, in this case, it'd be either learning solos or improvising. Music theory / ear training, I kind of tend to lump those two together.
Yep.
Which there's a couple different ways to that. A lot of the music theory is just getting familiar with how major keys work. A lot of the ear training is going out there and transcribing solos, learning licks, or reading tabs, and matching pitch on your guitar. A lot of that. That's like the most direct form of that. There are other more like academic ways of training your ear that you can do.
Yeah.
But really, it boils down to learning your vocabulary on the guitar, scales, learning your technique, the physical part of it, repertoire, which is licks, solos, improvising, things like that. Then learning the nuts and bolts behind how music works, and that's theory and ear training. And you have to take that one step at a time. So you would maybe start with the blues scale. So, like, there was a lot of technique that just went on there.
Yes.
But there was one scale. There was a lot of ear training and theory that went on there, whether you realize it or not, because I heard that lick in my head before I played it. And if I could do that with every scale, I would be a great guitar player.
Yeah.
I can't yet, but I'm working on it. I'm getting there. But that little lick covered everything. It covers, learning licks. It covers training your ear. I know how the blues scale works, the theory behind it, so I could go and just pull that out. I know how to play legato. I know how to bend. And then I have the technique with my right hand if I wanted to pick that. And then have the knowledge of the actual physical, the shape of the scale.
Yeah.
Which some players rely on shape, some don't. I'd say most of us do to a degree. So.
Yeah. And I think this speaks to something that is really important, and one of the reasons we do YouTube lessons, but we also do other stuff that's not on YouTube. Yep. It's really hard if you have like this goal, this thing that you want to do. It is really hard to learn it on YouTube. It is because you don't know exactly what it is necessarily that you need to learn to get to that goal. You just go, okay, I want to learn how to solo. So I'm going to search on YouTube how to solo, how to make good solos, whatever you search. And you're going to get a bunch of videos from random people. They're not laid out in an order. And then while you're watching them, you'll see stuff distracting you on the sidebar the whole time, right? Saying, well, no, this is the right way to solo. No, this is the right way. And then all of a sudden you're getting all these different approaches and maybe a bunch of information that you don't even need to get to where you want to get. And all of a sudden now you're not getting anywhere, right? And it's one of the reasons why we do the YouTube thing, because obviously a lot of you guys are on YouTube. It's a really great place to learn a few things, but then we also do things like Guitar Technique Made Easy, like I talked about, where if you want to learn soloing, you go through Guitar Technique Made Easy and we go through every single technique you need to learn. You apply each one to music as you go, and then at the end you can learn how to solo, right? And then that's like great stepping stones to get to that point. So it's the whole reason why we do those types of courses.
And with the Guitar Technique Made Easy, the cool thing about it is you're not learning, like, I'm not spoon feeding you how to play this Nirvana solo or whatever. You're learning the nuts and bolts behind the theory, the technique, some of the shapes, the most important shapes that you need to know, not only for rhythm but lead guitar as well. Yeah. And it gets you to understand how those things work. So you're like, okay, I have my tool belt full now. I can go, okay, I want to learn this solo. Okay, I see what's going on here. This is all this was, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's absolutely the case. So if you want to check it out, I have a link below the video, right below the video. If you guys are on mobile, it's a little bit harder to get to, but the link is guitareo.com/technique. I made it really, really easy. All you have to do is type in guitareo.com/technique. You'll be able to see Guitar Technique Made Easy there. Very easy, laid out everything for you. We have like the full course layout if you're interested to read through that whole thing. And we even have it broken up in a way so that if you want, you can do it even on like a payment plan. So you don't even have to pay it all at once. We could split it up. It's super easy. But it's basically you get direct technique coaching from Nate through those foundational techniques. And once you've completed those techniques, you're set to play literally any style.
Yeah, that's
right.
The point is, if you put in the time and effort into it, and it's for beginner, intermediate, advanced, because there are assignments for each level. Yeah. But once you make it through it the first time, you're going to be armed with like, okay, I just went through this stylistically agnostic course.
Yeah.
And now I can go apply it to whatever I want, whether it's blues, jazz, rock, metal, whatever it is.
Yeah. Acoustic stuff, fingerstyle stuff, all that stuff gets covered. And like Nate said, every single individual lesson, which the way it's broken out is in like weekly lessons, like you would take private lessons, right? So it's broken up. You have one weekly little tidbit thing that you're going to work on. There's beginner, intermediate, and advanced assignment. So if you're a beginner and you're learning chord changes, you're going to get the beginner version of the assignment for the week. And if you're an advanced player going through chord changes, you're going to learn some more advanced approaches.
You will be held to a higher standard, my friend.
Exactly. So it doesn't really matter where you're at. If you're super fresh, totally fits for you. And if you're more advanced and you just need to kind of build that real full foundation, you feel like maybe even music theory stuff is in there.
A lot of that, the advanced stuff is like, okay, how do you pick this stuff apart and apply a little bit of music theory that you might already know to it to get better at improvising or get better at coming up with your own chord shapes or things like that.
Yeah. So again, that's the link right below the video player that you're looking at right now with us. Click on that link, check out the course. And if you're on mobile and you can't see the link, www.guitareo, just how it sounds, guitareo.com/technique, and you'll find it there. All right, let's continue through, kind of went off on a tangent there. Continue through some questions here. There's lots in here. So let's see. John says, what about play-along tracks and where can I find backing tracks? What is your take on backing tracks?
I've heard a lot of people that don't like them, but I think it really depends on what your goals are as a musician. The reason I like them the most are, number one, if I want to play along to a popular song, they're great because I get to be a guitar player in the band. Number two, if I'm working on playing over specific chord changes, then I really like them. Whether those chord changes are for changing chords or I like playing leads. Those are the two contexts I like them in the most. As far as resources for them, my favorite resource for them is a looper pedal.
Yep.
Just because you don't, like if you can think it, or if you can hear it in your head, or if you have a song and you know the chord progression too, just loop it in, and then you can play the other part that goes along with it, or play a lead over it, or whatever.
Yep.
But Guitar Technique made easy where applicable there are jam tracks for the weeks where you'll need them, whether it's changing chords or lead stuff. What is it? Is it linklibrary.com? I think that's another one. You know what? I can pull it up on.
While you're pulling it up, I'll just say, one of the things that becomes tough is when you look up a jam track or backing track or something like that, you're not really knowing, you'll just see like the key, you're not, what are you working on? What is the chord progression? Are you doing it to work on, you're improvising, you're doing it to work on, like you said, chord changes or playing over changes, or what are you working on? The one thing that's nice about something like Guitar Technique Made Easy is that it's like, okay, this jam track is specifically designed for these chord changes, and you are gonna play these exact chord changes over it, and it kind of maps you through the entire backing track, so when you play it, you actually know what you're doing.
Jam Track Central.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Jam Track Central. But like I also like just GarageBand, because you can put a drum track up, and then if you have a bass track or something, just program in the chord progression you want.
Yep.
Set the tempo to whatever you want, and you've got like a customized for what you're working on there. Cool.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to miss a lot of questions because there's a ton in here, and I'm trying to get through them all, so I'm just getting the ones that do catch my eye here. This one is from Zane. Do you have any suggestions or guidance on what you should be doing or practicing, or where you should be at as an intermediate player? When I started out on guitar, it was much easier to know what to do.
No, you're 100% right, man. It's because the reason for that is because once you get the basics down, you have this entire world open to you, and you have to decide what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. So let's say you want to be a blues player, then that narrows things way down. You're not going to be working on fingerstyle. You're not going to be working on galloping
and stuff,
whatever. Yeah. Did I answer the question, or is there more to it?
I mean, I think that answers the question. Like, knowing what I would recommend is you made a video like maybe a month or two back, and we actually didn't know, but it kind of blew up. Everybody really liked it, and it was, are you an intermediate guitar player? And the idea is we went through this checklist, right?
Yeah.
So there's this checklist of things where it's like, if you can do this, and you can do this, and this, and this, and this, and this.
And there's nothing stylistic involved in there, because
Right.
all the beginner stuff, to me, is stuff that all guitar players need to know, and they can branch off from there.
We talk about foundations like a lot, but even like foundations of a house, right? It's the same idea. Like, there's so many techniques and skills and concepts. It sounds like, when I say so many, it's overwhelming, but no, but there's like specific ones that you need to learn that are completely foundational.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that we focus on.
And you're right, like those are very apparent when you're first starting out. You need to play open chords, you need to be able to switch chords, you need to be able to strum, you know.
This one here is from Karen. Is there a benefit to learning the electric guitar if I already play acoustic guitar?
It's fun. It's a heck of a lot of fun. It depends what you like, I think. That's all it really boils down to. I play both, and I swap back and forth between both probably almost equally. I don't know if there's a benefit like other... The main benefit is, do you like it? If you like it and you think it's fun and you dig it, then that's a huge benefit, and that's all you need, to me. Let's see. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, I think it did. That's good.
Some people would say that the detriment to it is you have to know a lot more about gear. You have to get an amp. You have to get all these pedals, which you don't. You can do just an amp. And you have to change twice as many strings. But I don't mind, I guess.
So here's another really common question, or at least it's a common topic that we talk about, especially for beginners.
Yeah.
This one is from Greg. How can you tell if you need your setup lowered on an acoustic guitar?
Oh, a good question. I just did a video on this, didn't I? How to fix that annoying string rattle.
Yes.
We just put that out like maybe 2 weeks ago. If it's buzzing like this, there you go.
Yeah.
And all I did was pulled my neck back a little bit to where the neck was like either perfectly straight or bowed back a little bit. If it's doing that open strings, it's buzzing, then you need to have your truss rod adjusted or maybe even your nut adjusted.
Yeah.
If you hold down your first fret right here and then hold down the fret with your thumb that joins it to the body of the guitar, you should be able to hear it ping.
Okay.
If there's a huge gap to where you can fit like 2 business cards between the string and the fret when you do this, your action's probably too high and you need to have your neck adjusted or possibly even your saddle adjusted too. And if this is killing you to play bar chords, like in the middle of the neck, then it's probably going to, it probably means you need to get your guitar set up. What is it, like 2 millimeters? They make string gauges, string action gauges that you can measure the distance from the bottom of the string to the fret. And 2.5, anything more than 2.5 mil on acoustic on the bass side, I'd say is pretty high.
Okay.
At least I think. And anything more than 2 on the treble side, 2 mil on the treble side is pretty high. So you might want to look into that too. But that's the best way, either buzzing or like ridiculously difficult to play.
Very nice. Next one here. This is from Mr. Dot. Looking for a steel string acoustic with low action, easy to play and easy on the fingers. Could any mid-level guitar work if I took it to a luthier and asked for low action and light strings?
Most of them could. Most of them could.
Depends what you mean by mid-level as well.
Yeah.
That can mean a few things.
To me, and this may be just my experience, it may not be this way anymore, Martin guitars are set up and designed to have higher action so you can get more volume out of them.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Whereas something like a Taylor.
something like a Taylor is the complete opposite. They don't, Taylor really doesn't care about volume as much, they care about playability. And shimmeriness.
Yeah.
So, as long as it's a good quality guitar that's in good condition, a luthier can make it play well. He may have to do a lot of work on it. He may have to replace the nut, the saddle, and do a fret job on it, which is going to cost you $300 or $400 probably. So, for what that's worth. But like it's a basic setup. If it's a new guitar, it will cost you $60 or $70, and they should be able to get that guitar playing really easy, or as easy as it can. And another thing, if you're just starting out, don't be afraid to go down to like custom lights, like 11 gauge strings.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier on your hands.
Absolutely. Another one here, this might be the last one because we're running out of time. This one is from Neferal again, and we kind of answered this question already, but we can touch a little bit more on it. But he asked, can we talk about tone chasing some more? Do you guys think chasing a tone blocks progress because you're too focused on the tone more than creativity?
I think so.
Yeah, like we said earlier, it totally does. I'm guilty of it. You're guilty of it. There's tons of amazing players out there who their very first guitar they ever got, they just pick it up and that's all they ever have, and they learn and they become monsters.
One thing that might help you, and I thought of this just as something like, because I guess it's something lately I've been doing naturally in my practice time, is like I only plug into my HX Stomp when I practice now.
Yeah.
That's what I practice with. If I'm goofing off doing something else, then I'll plug in my amps or try mess around with bias or some other plugin. But like maybe have a tone that you set up just like when you're doing your hardcore practicing that is fine, and you can just plug in and get your practice done and make that progress for the day. And then after that, then maybe set aside your time for tone chasing too. Because it's fun, that's important. If it's important to you, then it is important.
Totally.
Right? So maybe separate the time for the two, that might help you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that would help me.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. One last little one that I want to sneak in there. This one's from Erica. My grandpa insists that he needs to retune my guitar every time he sees mine, but it's already tuned. He makes it sound way different. Is this a thing? Are there different tuning techniques?
The first thing I do when I pick up a guitar if I'm actually playing it, is tune it.
Yeah.
So I would recommend that you do the same thing every time you sit down with your guitar. Like I have this little clip-on tuner, super convenient. I just go through, check it. See, I've tuned before the lesson. I tuned once during, and then once just now on my A string is out of tune. So now if he's doing some kind of alternate tuning, that's something else. Like I think it's important for like beginners if they want to get the basics down to start at least with standard tuning.
Yep.
But if he is doing standard tuning, he's just tuning your guitar for you. Then guitars, especially, well, some guitars more than others go out of tune quite a lot, and they constantly need to be tuned. Especially if you're in the studio, you're going to be tuning every 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or more.
I know when I play gigs, every single time there's a lull, I turn my tuner on, tune my guitar, constantly tuning.
I've been called the tuning Nazi more than once.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's not a bad habit to have. It really isn't.
But if I'm at home and I'm not recording and I'm just practicing, I'll tune at the beginning, and I probably won't tune for the rest unless I really notice it's going out, and then I'll tune again.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, absolutely. And Karen says, when should I get a guitar set up? When you buy it, and then if you notice that there's any issues with it, if you feel like the playability might be off, it's suspect at all, because temperature and humidity and time all change. We're talking about wood and metal here, right? They change over time. Go ahead and get it set up. That's what I'd recommend.
Every year or two?
Yeah. Every year or two is probably good. Okay, so that's pretty much it what we're going to do for questions now. We're going to have a little bit more time for questions here while we're talking about this, but now we're going to talk just a little bit about Guitar Technique Made Easy, because it's kind of the whole reason that we're here. Guitar Technique Made Easy is Nate's technique course, where he basically takes you through a 26-week boot camp to learn every single important instrumental, no pun intended, guitar technique, right? So that includes something as simple as strumming and chord changing. Again, for advanced players too, that stuff gets covered to make sure that everything is rock solid, and that goes all the way through. What would you say is at the end?
It goes from rhythm to lead guitar, so like half, 2/3 of the way through the course it switches to lead stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
It even goes through fingerstyle and cross picking stuff as like alternate rhythm guitar devices, so you can kind of expand that palette too, and those are used in specific genres of music.
Yeah.
More one than the other,
Yep.
but having like either the basic fundamental of it down, or like if you're more advanced, really getting into it, hardcore can really prime you to go learn some more difficult stylistic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing with the lead guitar stuff, like all of the important techniques that, minus sweep picking. I don't think we cover sweep picking because that's pretty specific to like metal.
It is. Yeah.
But picking, bending, and like you may say, oh, I can bend, but there's some assignments in there for like if you're into country guitar for pedal steel bending, things like that, that aren't that easy, especially on acoustic. There's no way I could do that on this. But.
Yeah. And one of the things you guys talked about, like even in your questions, is not knowing exactly what to practice, when you're supposed to move on, what you're supposed to do next, right? Because again, when you're learning on YouTube or you're learning in a lot of places, you don't really know, okay, this is good enough and this is my next step. A lot of times you're going, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. I think this is what I'm supposed to do, and you have conflicting information and stuff like that. When Nate created Guitar Technique Made Easy, the whole idea is like, you don't have to guess what to practice. You know exactly what your weekly assignment is. You go through that assignment, you do what you're told, and you go to the next week and you do the same thing again. And if you're a beginner, it's okay, right? If you're not nailing it every week, the intermediate and advanced assignments, that's okay, because those beginner assignments are there for you as well. One of the cool things as well, just because as stuff comes into my head, I'm going to mention it, is you get complete lifetime access to the course. So even though it's a 26-week long course, lifetime access, so what that means is you can go through the course, then you can keep going, you can go back, and you can go through the course again, right?
Yeah, and this is something I would do, like if you're a beginner, and then take that information and go on and get your feet wet with whatever styles interest you.
Yeah.
A year or two later, come back, go through it again, and you can be like, whoa, I didn't realize any of this stuff when I was a beginner and I went through, right? Because you have a new paradigm on a level that's on a higher plane, so you can see out and see farther, right?
Yep. And I mean, you get legit straight up access right to Nate for all your questions. The entire time you go through, you can just get your questions answered from Nate, just like we're doing right now, pretty much, right?
My favorite thing about like Guitar Technique Made Easy, acoustic guitar technique, acoustic guitar made easy, those types of courses that we do are the fact that you can send in videos from each review to see how you're doing, because that kind of fills the gap between online lessons, YouTube, and then being able to go to the store
Yeah.
or somebody's house for lessons every week.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we try to compare Guitar Technique Made Easy to something that's more like, this is like the online version of private lessons,
Yeah.
right? Because we've tried to bridge that gap, and online lessons have been around for years now. How old is the internet?
I remember it, like when I was, I don't know how old it is, but I was first really aware of it probably in 9th or 10th grade, which is
Okay.
like 94, 95.
Okay.
So like probably 88, I don't know, something like that.
And guitar lessons online, they've been around for a while, but really not that long compared to like private lessons and stuff like that. And in that time, obviously, everybody's been trying to kind of match what private lessons do, because private lessons are still kind of like the pinnacle.
Yeah.
You get one-on-one time with your teacher. They can look at what you're doing and stuff like that. So when we set out and created Guitar Technique Made Easy, the whole idea was, can we make something that actually rivals private lessons through online teaching? That's not just like, here's some videos, watch these videos in order and you'll be fine, right? Because it's just not the same as private lessons. The problem with private lessons, they can cost, what, $200 a month?
Yeah.
Right? If you think about it, they're 30 to 50 bucks American usually a week. That's a lot of money for private lessons and stuff like that. You're totally limited by your where your location is, right? You don't. I know where I grew up, we had like one reputable guitar teacher, and that was about it. Which becomes like a real challenge depending on where you're at. It's like, I don't know if this guitar teacher actually knows what he's doing and stuff like that. And so what we kind of tried to do is make that experience, that private lessons experience, inside of an online course with Guitar Technique Made Easy for all the reasons we talked about, except instead of paying like $50 a week, you're paying like $3 a week, right, is what it works out to. And then at the end, you have access, like it's as if you had private recordings for every single lesson you've had that you can use for the rest of your life.
I have a teacher that I want to take some lessons from, but I just can't get out there.
Yeah, it becomes super challenging.
It's in Vancouver.
Yeah, fair enough, exactly. So it's tough. So it's a really good opportunity for people who maybe can't afford private lessons but are really interested in getting better on the guitar. If they want to improvise, write their own music, play solos, they want to just strum their favorite songs, they want to play at church, all those things. It's a perfect way to kind of get into that, and it's not such an insanely huge commitment, especially if you got a busy schedule. You can do this all in your own time. You can take the lessons at 2 in the morning if you need to, or before you head to work in the morning. It doesn't matter, right? So that's kind of the idea. So guitario.com/technique. The link is right below the video. I really hope you guys will click on that link and check it out, because we're really proud of the course. We've talked about it a lot. You've probably heard us talk about it a lot. Nate's probably emailed you about it before, talking about it. The problem is that registration is closing on August 21st, because we only do like little set openings
next week.
for the courses.
Next week.
That's next Wednesday.
Okay.
So today is Friday. So you have Friday to Wednesday to join up and get signed up for it. If you do want to be a part of it, we'd love to have you a part of it, but you just don't have a lot of time to do it. We broke it up. I think I mentioned before, you can pay it all at once or you can break it up. We broke it up into like a little multi-pay thing to just make it super easy for you. But the link below, guitario.com/technique, is where you want to go. You want to scroll down the page, check out the page. There's like a trailer and all that and a breakdown of the course if you want. And then you can click on the bottom and that'll bring you to the checkout page where you can find that stuff.
Are we giving them any goodies? Any bonus?
We are actually, which is really exciting because
I didn't know. I was like, I hope we are.
one of the things that I feel like is really important, especially, we do Guitario, which is like our members site.
Yeah.
And Guitario it's more of like a community focused. There's lots of like video courses and stuff, more on like different things, kind of more all over the place.
It's like a buffet. You pick what you want.
Exactly. It's kind of like a self-serve thing.
Yeah.
And, but there's an awesome community forum, and our Guitario members are just the best people in the world. They're so nice and encouraging, and every single person that's like been through the forum would know, like, it's just an awesome place. I know I've seen some of you guys are in the chat too. Some of our members, Les Acadian, so Vincent,
cool.
Natasha,
Awesome.
I saw in there, and it's like, it's like a big guitar family.
So they get 6 months or what?
We're gonna give you, it's a monthly subscription site type thing, but we're just gonna straight up just give you 6 months of access.
Awesome, cool.
So that covers like the 26 weeks that you're in. You'll just have access just for free, totally for free. You'll have access to Guitario the entire time. You'll still have lifetime access to the GTME Guitar Technique Made Easy course forever. So if you want to continue your membership with Guitario because you like it so much after, awesome, we can set that up for you. But the idea is just like, here, check out this as well. It's totally free, no strings attached. It won't recur or anything like that. You just can have it.
That way, if you're wondering about something, or if you need some other kind of resource, or if you want another play along that's not in Guitar Technique Made Easy, then you can just pop into Guitario and it's right there for you.
One of the questions I see in there from David, can I use Guitar Technique Made Easy as in pay for it in a different currency? We take every currency.
Yeah, they'll do the conversion.
Yeah,
for you
it'll all get changed for you. And if you prefer PayPal, I know I like to use PayPal for just about everything
For
if I
internet
can.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's super safe and secure. All our checkouts are extra super safe. We've never had a problem with them ever in the 10 years we've been doing this. But there's a PayPal option there for you too, so you can totally go through that as well. Now let me think. Is there anything else question-wise that I can cover? Do you have anything you want to talk about?
The whole point of this Guitar Technique Made Easy and Guitario is one thing, and that's getting you to play the music that you love on a guitar, no matter what it is. And Guitar Technique Made Easy helps you put the pieces together so you have that foundation laid to where you're like, look at this beautiful slab I have. Now I'm going to go choose what type of house I want to build, and that's what you can do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's see. Anything else in here? I think that's it. So again, the link is guitario.com/technique. It's right below the video player. Right below the video player.
There it is.
Yeah, right down there. You guys can see down there. Click that link, check it out. If you have any questions about it or anything, email us, support@guitario.com. You can also just email me, Andrew@guitario.com, Nate@guitario.com. Shoot us an email. We'd love to talk to you, chat with you about it, and maybe it's not the perfect fit for you. We can find something else. Maybe you can't afford it right now, and we could talk about other things and stuff like that as well. So please feel free to do that as well. So thank you guys. This was really awesome. It's fun. It's always fun to stream on YouTube and do something totally different. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say, Nate?
I think it's it. If you haven't defined what it is that you want to learn on the guitar, do that first. Write down 2 things that you want to do, and then pick out some songs.
Yeah.
Everything else, if you do that, we'll take care of the rest.
Yeah.
With you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, thank you so much for coming out, and we will see you guys next time.